All right, folks, welcome back to Tim's Off Grid. It is time. We've got to build our roof. We just get rain, 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 and more rain. So we know that the maximum height you could have on something you transport down the road is 13.5 feet. 12 and 12, 144 plus 12, 156. So 156 inches. Right now, we know that it is 8 feet plus the 1.5 inches for the cap plate, plus 3.5 inches down at our base, plus a 1/2 inch for our floor. So we're at 101.5 inches. I'm going to go up 18 inches for the ridge beam for the roof, and that puts us at 119.5, really. Let's see here. Yeah, 119.5. And if you are 36 inches on a trailer that is carrying you, and that's a little extra, you'd be about 155.5 of 156. So, without further ado, let's plan on making that roof at 18 inches for the beam. So, if the beam that we're using is a 6-inch beam, that should be 5.5 inches. So the beam is 5.5 inches, and we're at 18 inches. So we're looking at, is that 12.5? Yep, so 12.5. So this one here, I just got to cut about a 1/2 inch out of it. And this will be our middle one that the beam will sit on, and we'll build blocks on either side of it. So that's what we're going to do. Because we also have the cap on the roof, I'm going to cut the middle at 12 inches. All right, that's our first board. I'm looking for any that may already be kind of shorter. Oh, this one's perfect. Excellent. All right, from there, we need side pieces. So these will be our two middle pieces. So we need side pieces. That will be taller than that 12.5, but not taller than the 6. And that'll hold it in place. And we don't want these to interfere with the angle coming off of there either. All right. So I'd say perhaps these are 4 inches. And that gives you 1.5 inches. And I don't think that that's going to come into play. So if we do that, a 16-inch will probably do. So So this will be a gable style roof that we're going to do, because I know I can seal the gable style roof front and back. I don't know how well I'd be able to seal a lean-to roof on the back if you were to drive this down the road one day. All right, that's our first 16. All right, we're going to make another 16. We're going to go ahead and put that first one together once we got it ready. And then we'll finish the second one and put it up there. All right. What we're going to do next is get these together and screw them together. And then we'll take that up there and we'll center it. All right, we're going to get repositioned, get the ladder up there, move the camera, etc. But I've got our first mount built here, and we're going to be ready to rock and roll here in a minute. Let me adjust a couple here. because I think we got pushed out just a little bit on this one side. Reseat these. All right. All right, now up here, we got to find our center, and our center is at 48 inches because we used full 96-inch 2x4s on the cat plate, of course. So if we mark 48 inches up here, then we know that's the center of our roof. So then we move this, our mount for our beam, to the center, which is right there. And then I've got 5-inch screws that we're able to put in to get that screwed down. So let me grab my drill and we'll get that in there. And then I'll build the second one and put it up. Now remember, the good trick is to come in straight, back up, turn. All right, straight, back up, turn, come back in. That takes care of those two. And let me get these two started over here. Just trying to toe in these boards here, which are going to support our top beam. All right, there we have it. So with this centered, then we could screw these in. So you saw that turned a little bit on me. So make sure you pay attention to that if you see something like that starting for you. It's going to throw you off as you're trying to meet the other mount on the other side. Now what I can do is I can put a board in here and I can hold pressure on it while I'm screwing that one on. We'll put my hand up in there. There it went. A little bit at a time. Look, that was so scary. It made the camera fall over. All right, so we'll see how solid that is. Pretty solid. We can also tow it in from this side as well, and we may just do that. But let me go ahead and make the other one so I can get the beam on, so we can put a couple rafters up and get the all right, we got a much better viewing angle of putting the next mount on the roof for the beam. So I'm moving the ladder to the other side. I'm going to pop up over there. We're going to get our 48-inch measurement, and we'll screw it on and drop the beam on, and then we can put a couple of these rafters on there. All right, so we just got to measure our 48-inch center from the side right there. And it's starting to get a little dark, but we still got sun. I mean, sun. We still got light. All right. We got a 48-inch measurement, and I only lost one screw. In doing so, let me grab that screw. All right. So I'm going to pre-screw these, because it's going to make my life way easier again. Free drill, whatever. Free drill. I really like these 5-inch wood screws. You can really tie some stuff together. They're probably way easier than you'd think to get them in. All right, and that's centered there. So we'll drive the first one in. That didn't work. I thought that was going to happen too. I'll fix that one in a minute. Probably turn them toward the middle versus the outside. They are super long, but did that. Yeah, that totally didn't work out. I'm just going to grab a fresh one, and I'll do that in a minute. While we're already here, let me see if we can't put that beam in there. Oh, yeah. And I figured this was going to be tight. As it should, right? All right. What it's going to require is a little bit of leverage. I won't get too crazy on this ladder. So let me get up on the wall. Wow. You want to talk about tight fit? All right. I'll grab the hammer. We'll tap this in, and that'll lock our beam in. While doing so, I'll grab the missing screw. So I'll be right back. And our missing screw. All right, I'm gonna reposition the ladder over there. Pop this in. There we go. But look, it's a balancing act. As I'm driving it in, it's coming back out. We'll get there eventually. So let me work on that. We'll be back at you. All right, we got the first rafters up there. And I want to show you the method that I used, a quick method. And this is from Jesse Does DIY. So he had the 2x4 up here before it was cut. Use this as a guide, a 2x4 beside it, so you get that angle. Run your pencil down that, and then come over here on the sheathing and do the same thing with the 2x4 on the sheathing. Draw your line and make your cut. All right, and then from here, as you can see, I'm right outside the 3.5 inches on that one. So I'd mark this one at 3.5 inches, and then we'll go every 16 inches from there. All right. So I'm going to duplicate this for the rest of them, all the way down every 16 inches. So I'll hold a 2x4 up against there. I'll mark my line. I'll hold a 2x4 here and mark my line. I'm not going to use this one as a template just in case something's off. So we'll make these one at a time. And then I can use hurricane ties on here to hold these on. I don't have to do a bird's mouth in here. So we can keep this simple. So let me get back into it. All right, I think we're at the part of the project where I'm able to work inside now, because a lot of the screwing is going to have to take place from the inside. So with that first one that I put in, now I'm going to get it screwed in a little bit better, and then we're going to get our measurements for our next one. And hopefully this lighting isn't too bad, but we're going to keep on keeping on because we still got time. I'm going to hit this rafter from the backside and get it tightened up in there. Now we'll come back and put a nail in each one of these also. So putting 2 screws in for right this second. But I will come back and hammer a nail right up in there. So what I'm going to end up doing is each one of these is going to hit where I have a stud. So that makes it easy, except over here on the ends. I have one on each end. All right. So like a plan. And then I'll put a couple of screws, lock this beam in, because it's just interference fit right now. But we'll lock it in there. All right, let's get that next beam done. I mean, rafter. So this one's 16 inch is actually right there. If you think about where we want it to hit. So if you can see that, I'm holding that 2x4 right up against it. You know, obviously a better way is if you clamped it. So I've got it as if it's hitting right there. I'm holding the 2x4 and we're going to make our mark right here. We'll take this one down and we'll cut it. And we'll make our other mark. And we might get cut short because it is starting to rain. Oh, I can't win. We can't get ahead of this. Yep, and it's starting to rain pretty good too. But you see, this wouldn't take that long once you get started like this. I did go ahead and finish all the rafters last night, and if you see the first one that'll be like right off the beam, all the others are going to pretty much follow the studs that they're aligned to on their 16-inch centers, which is great, right? And even the one over there that follows the rafter. So it ended up on this 8x8, I think it's 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I did the same thing corresponding on this side as well. So, and when I was initially going to measure each one of these separate, ends up this thing was so square that they were all the same. So I just used one as a template and cut them all. All right. So next we'll be using the hurricane ties on this vertical face, and then on that vertical on the rafter to tie those in. So with the construction screws and regular screws. So that's how it turned out. And getting that tarp tight on there really helped, because it rained last night and it's rained off and on today, and everything looks pretty good in there. And then this is what it's looking like right now. So not bad. All right, so next steps are maybe on Sunday that I get this door, we put in this other window, I get this roof put on properly, and then I'll go with a metal roof up there. But that's where we're at. So I'll do one more look around here. If you have any questions, let me know. All right.